To begin installation on your K&N 633068 air intake system, turn off the vehicle's ignition and disconnect the negative battery cable. Release the two radiator cover retaining pins. Remove the radiator cover from the vehicle. Next, release the crankcase vent clip and then disconnect the crankcase vent hose from the intake tube. Loosen the hose clamps that secure the intake tube to the throttle body and air filter. Remove the intake tube from the vehicle. Lift up the engine cover to dislodge it from the mounting grommets and then remove the cover from the vehicle. Remove the factory crankcase vent hose from the valve cover. Next, disconnect the mass air sensor electrical connection. Remove the 3 bolts that retain the airbox. Now it's time to remove the airbox assembly from the vehicle. Loosen the hose clamp that secures the mass air sensor to the airbox and then remove the mass air sensor from the airbox. Secure the splash shield to the core support with the hardware provided. Install the edge trim onto the heat shield. Some trimming of the edge trim will be necessary. Next, install the heat shield mounting bracket, part number 010126, onto the heat shield using the provided hardware. Install the heat shield mounting bracket, part number 01027, onto the heat shield using the provided hardware. Assemble the mass air sensor and filter adapter with the provided gaskets onto the heat shield using the provided hardware. Be sure to place one of the 2 gaskets on either side of the heat shield. Install the K&N air filter onto the filter adapter and secure it with a provided hose clamp. Now it's time to install the heat shield assembly into the engine compartment and secure it with the provided hardware. Be sure to place the fender washer under the mounting bracket to retain the splash guard. Install the silicone hose onto the throttle body and secure it with the provided hose clamp. Install the crankcase vent fitting into the K&N intake tube. Next, install the silicone hose onto the K&N intake tube and secure it with the provided hose clamp. Install the K&N intake tube onto the mass air sensor and into the silicone hose on the throttle body. Secure the intake tube with the provided hose clamps. Install the provided crankcase vent hose onto the valve cover and then connect the open end to the vent fitting on the K&N intake tube. Reconnect the mass air sensor electrical connection. Reinstall the engine cover and radiator cover. Secure the radiator cover with the factory retainers. Double check to make sure everything is tight and properly positioned before starting the vehicle. After 100 miles of driving, check the nuts and bolts and retighten if necessary.